When I was climbing to Legend this season, there were two lists that I played more than any other. One was the mid-range assassin list that I've already done a spotlight video on, and the other was this, my Manic Mage list. This is a mid-range mage list, and I was very successful with it, so I thought that I would also do a spotlight video showcasing the list and kind of talking about some of the card choices, and obviously after I talk about the list, we'll include some gameplay as well. This is a list that I know some other people have tried playing. Ian Bits, for example, has played it. Some people in my Discord have played it. There's different versions, some different choices made throughout, but the core is pretty similar, and that's a core that's based around Manic Jack, and there's a core that's kind of based around Altmer Dragon Knight. So Manic Jack is the reason that you run things like Lesser Ward, and then because you're also running Lesser Ward, you're also running something like Gnarl Rootbender, and that's because you want Manic Jack to get keywords and then get bigger. It's also the reason why we're running two Stand Watches. Stand Watch can give Manic Jack Guard, which increases his stats. Also, because this is a prophecy, it is interesting because it can be a defensive prophecy that can be a big deal, especially against other aggressive decks. For example, if somebody's attacking you and they pop a rune and you get Stand Watch, you get to draw a card still, but you're also potentially, let's just say, giving Daggerfall Mage or maybe your warded Doomfang ally guard. And now the aggressive player has to attack into your warded, guarded creature, and it's very annoying for them. So Stand Watch looks like a weird inclusion, but it's actually been very, very good in this list. Now, Stand Watch when you play it on something like Gnarl Rootbender is also very good because you're going to give your 5/4 guard while also drawing 2 cards for the low cost of 2 magicka. So again, I think it fits this list pretty well. Now, other things in this list are kind of action based, right? We have Altmer Dragon Knight. Altmer Dragon Knight is going to get bigger at the end of each turn in which you've played in action. Stand Watch is an action, so it counts. We have these Fire Bolts, they count. Obviously, we're running Lightning Bolt, they count. Lesser Ward, turns out they count. Manic Mutation, still counts. Even on the top end, right, we have Mighty Conjuring. Mighty Conjuring will also make your Altmer Dragon Knight get bigger, which is great. Now, Mighty Conjuring is also the reason why we're running some of the other cards that we're running. For example, we're running Satanine Courier. That will turn any of these 2-attack creatures into a 5-attack creature, enough to trigger Mighty Conjuring. It also makes your ward creatures trade up very, very well and provides a source of burst damage. If you've seen other videos from me, you know I love Satanine Courier. The other thing is you may notice that this list is very, very blue. It's very blue heavy. In fact, other versions I've ran have even cut Cloud Rest, and I've ran Royal Sage there instead because it also helps with Manic Jack and your blue count. But I felt like I needed a few more defensive prophecies, which is why currently I'm running Cloud Rest. But yes, it's very blue heavy because we want Cunning Ally to trigger. When this triggers, it's very, very useful because you're still getting the body, but you're also getting Fire Bolts. And that's really important in this list. Not only does it trigger your Altmer Dragon Knight, but one thing I want to highlight here is there are not many actual 2-drops here. I know this says 11, but really quickly, Harpy isn't something that you're proactively playing. Like, this is a reactionary 2-drop. Satanine in a pinch can be played as a 3/1, but you typically are saving this to burst into something else. Stand Watch is not really a 2-drop. And then you have Wardcrafter. So essentially your early game options, if you're trying to be proactive with this list, are Crown Quartermaster and Wardcrafter. And then you've got a lot of cards at 3, which is when this deck really comes alive. So, cards like Firebolt, cards like Cunning Ally, and even to some extent your wards, right? Lesser Ward and Wardcrafter on some of these bigger threats are how you get control of the game back in your favor. This is a mid-range deck. You are going to fight for the board first and then try to push damage later. So Cunning Ally is actually a very critical piece in this list because you do not have a strong early game, and this helps you kind of clean up some of those 1 and 2 drops that might have been played when you were doing nothing. A card like Black Dragon is in this list, for example, because it has 5 attacks, so it helps you trigger Mighty Conjuring, but it also has immune to lethal. I've actually included Black Dragon because there is a ton of lethal on the ladder right now. Between Doomcrag Warrior and Slay Warrior, and then there are some Archer decks creeping back into favor. Lethal is something that you need to be able to deal with, and a very popular way to do that is with wards. That's why I've been playing a lot of blue-based mid-range, because the wards are great against lethal, but Black Dragon is as well, so that's why he's in this list. Similarly, Halfringer Marauder is in here because it has 5 attack, helps you trigger Mighty Conjuring, but also, if you have something like Manic Jack on the board, and you break a rune with Manic Jack, you get items from the Marauder, and those items might give him keywords, so he'll get an increased bonus from the items as well. So it's just a good synergy card, even if it is just a one-of. Mighty Conjuring is here as your primary finishers, and then obviously you have Encano on your top end. So again, this is a mid-range list. It's the sort of list that you are fighting for control of the board first, and then if you see a window, then you increase the tempo on your opponent and try to go for the throat. But anyway, that's enough about the list. Let's jump into some games so I can show you the deck in action. All right, here we go. Going first against Crusader. And we're going to throw the ward back. Actually, no, we're going to keep it. We're going to keep all of this.
Welcome, friend.
We're going to keep all of this. The ward is really powerful, and we get an on-curve top deck here, so I think this is kind of everything that we wanted. And it does appear our opponent is playing some sort of aggressive
Do your worst.
Crusader.
Watch yourself now.
So there may be an argument to be made about we might hope this gets Drain instead of Ward in this particular matchup. If they get off to a fast start,
it's time to
could be really bad for us.
Face me, you dog!
We of the Leech adapt and survive.
But we catch the Ward, and that's really standard. It's like an 80% chance, something like that, to catch the Ward. We could lesser ward this kind of preemptively, just so they don't get the value trade, and then we could throw a dagger on it the next turn to trade up. We're only punished if we draw something like Manic Jack or
united.
the Altmer Dragon Knight, for example.
You can't defeat me.
Well, that is very, very fortuitous for us. We'll shackle that one. And yeah, go ahead and use the dagger here.
For my kinsmen.
We sadly cannot interact there. We're really only punished if we run into like Cloud Rest. I think taking the tempo play here makes an awful lot of sense. We did get the Prophecy that helped us out. We would prefer to put them on the back foot. Raiding Party punishes us very, very well. So interesting that they're playing Clan Captain and Raiding Party in a Priest of the Eight deck. Not something I was expecting. And I was punished as a result. Punished quite handily, actually.
For my kinsmen.
Well, we're gonna do this. Still take the Clan Captain out. Rootbender's basically just a 5/4, but we don't have any way to trigger the Dragon Knight this turn, so the 5/4 still our better play.
Of the sky, guide us. Leave nothing. I'll take them with me.
Well, this just got a lot spicier. A lot spicier. Lesser Ward will cycle and let us draw a card. Let's go ahead and do that. Seems good. Let's go ahead and take the value trade as well. Altmer Dragon Knight will grow because we played the Lesser Ward, and we'll also just go ahead and protect this in case they have another Charger or Raiding Party. And then the Halfinger Marauder should get us a ton of value this next turn.
Did you hear that?
If we don't end up just using Dawnbreaker, but I don't think we're gonna quite have lethal here. Alright. So there is the raiding party. Again, they can get rid of our 3-1, but they have to use both of them to do it, so. And yeah, as I said,
For my kinsmen.
Marauder could get us a ton of value here, but top decking Mighty Conjuring feels even better. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're just going to play the Conjuring. And the reason it's better, it's not just the big body, but it is also an action. So Dragon Knight will grow as well. So we can be punished by silence. We could be punished by... Sure, that. It's another way that we could get punished there.
I'll take them.
And we're just going to do this
I have many
into Incarno, and then swing for lethal. So, great game. Lots of fighting for board control, but I think it showcases what the deck can do. Let's hop into another game and see how it performs. But that was an aggressive Crusader deck in the top 100, and we did well. All right, we are jumping into another game, this time against Frankie Hot Dogs, friend of the stream, who just happens to be hanging out in the top 10 on Warrior. I have to assume this is going to be Naughty Warrior, as I like to call it. So this might be a bit of an issue, but we're going to do our best. We have a 2-drop that we are going to use proactively. We have a pair of 3-drops that will guaranteed trigger for us, because these are the only 2 neutral cards in the deck, so Ally will get some sort of value here. And no 2-drop tells me it is going to be the naughtier of the warriors, in my opinion. It means it's likely going to be the Slay version, Slay variant.
The hiss shall heal you.
This just proves it even further. We're going to use this word here. Develop here. Go with a Doomfang. And go with a Crown Quartermaster.
I keep a spare blade in my
Let's see how much pressure we can try to generate as fast as possible, because the clock is ticking and not in our favor.
The hiss shall heal you. I smell the stench of the living.
So, yeah. They ramp.
For my kinsmen.
Careful there, friend. Don't underestimate me.
I abhor violence.
They ramp and play guards. Clock is still not ticking in our favor because they have ramped, so we have to do our absolute best to push through as much damage as possible here. And do so before they get their burst healing. The lightning bolt is a little bit of reach that does help, and there is more reach in the deck. It's a bit sad that we have to use our lightning bolt like this, but I do think it is important to push as much damage as possible here.
I abhor violence.
So, get our opponent down to 5 and hope that they do not have a way to heal or defend themselves here. We have a fair number of threats, but 8 is a lot for Warrior. This is when things come online. They could, you know, play a Night Shadow and an Inferno Sword, for example, and heal up and take out a creature.
We must protect
Even something like Barrowstalker goes a long way. This is going to peel some significant damage off the board as well. Yep, and there's the crossbow. So we can only get them down to 2 unless we top deck. And we did not, so we're We're going to get him down to 2 and try to split. And again, hope that they do not have any way to heal. We are concerned about something with drain and squish the wimpy, things like that.
Move we can't anticipate.
Dark Seducer would have also been bad. And there is the victory. So that is a win against a combo / control deck. So this list has just won back-to-back games, one against a aggressive Crusader list in the top 100, and then another game against the ramp warrior boogeyman of the format that was in the top 10. So like I said, it can surprise people, right? I think people think of mid-range as being dead, but it's all I've been playing this season, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and you can find success with it. So hopefully this inspires you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.